Good afternoon, Adam here from Aqua Life Hub here with another episode. It's been a while, and our main topic of discussion, you can see the doors on the sump are open, and that is because about a week and a half ago, my dad and I were working on the tank and trying to replace a pump, and we managed to break one of the bulkheads. And I'll explain sort of what happened and what we changed and how not to repeat the mistakes that we made with the initial plumbing. So without further ado, let me walk over there and walk you through what happened with the sump. So there's not a whole lot of lighting under the tank, so I'm going to try to use my cell phone to show you what happened. But essentially, if you look at the middle bulkhead, managed to snap off the plastic at the very top when we were trying to remove the PVC or the plastic piping so that we could switch out the pump, which, again, this is not a good method, but the pump goes in this last container down here in the bottom. The old pump was the one that came with the plug-and-play system. It broke, totally overheated, melted, etc. So we were replacing the whole thing and broke the bulkhead. Now, if you see on the current setup, we replaced both the left one and the center one, and we now have this black union and this white union. Before we had no unions on either one of the sides, and when we were changing them out, we put too much pressure. So now we got unions installed, and hopefully that'll prevent this from happening again in the future. So the main takeaway was never set up your plumbing in such a manner in which you can put any pressure on your bulkhead. The bulkhead, at least mine, they're just plastic. So we didn't actually break or hurt the glass, but what it did was it broke the ring around the bottom, which resulted with needing to change out everything, and it took me an embarrassing number of trips to the hardware store and orders on Amazon to get the parts I needed. One thing to consider is we used some threaded bulkheads this time instead of slip bulkheads, and we tried to use Teflon tape, but it leaked. So what we ended up ordering was the stuff right here. It's called Rector Seal, and it worked amazing for sealing off the threaded bulkhead on the pump, which obviously is under pressure and was leaking, but is no longer leaking. So that's one thing to consider. Alright, let me show you what's going on with the tank itself, since I know that's what everybody's here for. Obviously the colors never come out that well in this video, but overall the tank is doing pretty well. I'm still trying to fight with the verminid snails, which I am fighting now with a large number of bumblebee snails. I think I have about 50 in there now, and they're doing a really good job. I see them every once in a while perched on the end of a verminid snail burrow, and they haven't gotten any worse. And when I do water changes, I am still manually removing and snipping off and clipping off verminid snail homes, which, who knows, can't be hurting, might be helping kill them off. As you can tell, the zoas are doing remarkably well. They've really filled in. I mean, they are covering probably a third of this rock structure, which takes up a full third of the tank. I keep moving these because I don't know what to do with them, but even a couple of the Grandis Pallies are doing really well. I think there's 5 or 6 of them. I started with one. The SPS were the ones that suffered the most due to the verminid snails. You can see that this one is starting to come back a bit. It's getting a bit more green on it, so hopefully starting to have a little bit of a return to form. I have some frags I cut off for a friend of mine who is setting up a tank. I tried to get more zoas than this, but my Blenny decided it'd be fun to peel them off. So now there's only a single zoa on that frag plug. But a friend of mine's starting a tank, so I'm going to bring some of those frags up to him once I go and visit him. The Acan colony is doing really well. So, I just did a whole talk with the recording off. A good 5 minutes. That's okay. We're going to try this again. So as I was saying, The Zoas coming along really well, nice and healthy. They're starting to intermingle a bit, which has been fun to watch. The colors are fantastic. The Pandoras looked just sort of ugly for forever, but now they have a lot of interesting color variation that doesn't pick up very well on this this camera lens, but I'm not going to bother switching it out to the macro lens for right now. The fish, all nice and healthy. The wrasses look great. The fox face is, he was afraid of me for the longest time, but now whenever I add any seaweed into this seaweed clip over here, he gets about 1/4 of an inch away from my hand, just waiting for me to move, which I find mildly concerning because I don't really feel like getting stung by him if he ever gets a little bit startled. But he's got a ton of personality. I can't imagine doing a reef tank without a fox face. And again, he's eats tons of algae. The coloration's fun. He changes colors whenever he gets a little startled, and he's just really, really fun to watch. So the SPS have been doing pretty well compared to how they were a month before with when I had that explosion of the Verminid snails. It's interesting to watch this Apostolopora as it gets this sort of secondary. It's getting a nice large group up top, and the lower branches, so to speak, are losing a bit of their color as they get less and less light. So that's been really fun to watch, sort of how it grows and looks more and more natural. Because out in the wild, they're not always just bright colors. The undersides are usually a lot less intense. Acan colony is coming along really well. That Acan there in the middle, you see that little white bit on top? He ate a snail today. He ate one of those bumblebee snails. So he's got a little shell inside of him right now. Wasn't anything I could do. The shell was already 2/3 of the way consumed by the time I noticed it. So that's what you get for getting a little too close to... Man, honestly, I didn't think he was big enough to eat one of these snails, but there you have it. Quite possibly the best grower in this tank is these fuzzy/hairy mushrooms. I started with one. This guy, if you see him on this rock right here, he just split again. There are now 6 of them back there, which is a pretty incredible amount of growth. And they've gone from 3 to 6 in the space of a month and a half. So it's been really fun to watch, although they have quite the sting. So, I've had to move. This Ricordea Florida got stung really bad once. This rock flower keeps moving because every time the mushroom gets anywhere near him, he gets stung. So he keeps moving over a little bit as the mushroom takes over his rock that he used to be hiding under. Too bad for him, but what are you gonna do? Everybody else looks good. Platymonte has always looked fantastic. Just nice bright red color. Doesn't grow all that fast, but is growing. I've actually had to cut back this other red Platymonte because he was encroaching in on the bird's nest. So I snipped him back, and he's actually one of the ones that's on that plug over there. But other than that, I don't really have much to discuss today. I just really wanted to get a brief update, tell everybody about the broken bulkhead. I mean, that was a week and a half sort of headache where I had to keep moving heaters around, filtration around. But I'd say I managed to get it done with a minimum of fuss. None of the fish died, none of the corals died. And this is, a water change. I changed the water once I fixed everything, and this is a couple days later, and everybody looks about back to the way they were before. So that's all I got today. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll post another one a little quicker than a month later. Thanks.